Alright, hello and welcome back. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker. And today we are going to go into an introduction to SIEM software, which is Security Information and Event Management. And this is a very big one, especially if you're studying to become a security analyst, SOC analyst, anybody on the blue team side, on the defensive security side. So I'm very excited about this one. This is one of the free rooms that's available inside of tryhackme. So feel free to go ahead and get yourself a subscription, a membership to tryhackme. There's a link in the description below. And if you wanted to upgrade your subscription, you can also use that link to get a discount on your subscription. The intro to SIEM room is a part of the security information and event management module that's a part of the SOC level 1 pathway for tryhackme. And we just started this. We wrapped the endpoint security monitoring and we are jumping into security information and event management. And as you can see, there's a few cool little tools over here, including a really popular one which is called Splunk, and we're going to be working with Splunk pretty closely. And I'm really excited about this one because this is a very important module for us to complete. So if you learn anything from this room and if you learn anything from this channel, I humbly invite you to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell, and even drop a comment because number one, it helps the YouTube algorithm find us, and it gives us a little bit more reach so that we can grow the community and grow the channel. But more importantly, if you subscribe and turn on the notification, you'll get notified the next time a video comes out. And if you're studying to become a security analyst or studying to become an ethical hacker, all of these videos will be applicable to you, and you can learn a lot from them, and you can grow and just have a lot of good information to assist you as you do other studies and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's get into the introduction of the room. What is a SIEM? So it stands for Security Information and Event Management System, and it's a tool that collects data from various endpoints and network devices across your network, stores them in a centralized place, and performs a correlation on them. Basically scans all of these logs to see if there's anything wrong or if anything out of the ordinary. And so we're going to go into the basic concepts of this, which is what is it and what it does, why do we need it, what is network visibility, what are log sources, and how is a log ingestion done, and what are the capabilities that a SIEM provides. So this is a really big one. I'm really excited about this entire module. And the first question is, what does it stand for? And there's the answer: Information and Event Management System, Security Information and Event Management. It's like a mouthful. That's why the acronym is pretty awesome. But then there's freaking so many acronyms inside cybersecurity that it sometimes becomes very tough to keep track of everything. So let's talk about network visibility through a SIEM. Before explaining the importance of a SIEM, we need to understand why it's critical to have better visibility of everything going on in a network. The image below is an example of a very simple network that has multiple Linux and Windows-based endpoints, one data server, and one website. Each component communicates with the other to access the internet through a router, so on and so forth. So we have the router, we have the internet, there's a web server, we have 50 Windows workstations, 20 Linux workstations, and then we have our data server. So as we know, each network component can have one or more log sources generating a bunch of different logs. One example could be setting up a sysmon log with Windows event log to have better visibility of a Windows endpoint. And we can divide that network log sources into two logical parts. You have the host-centric log sources, and then you have network-centric log sources. And host-centric, as the name implies, is to the host. So it could be used by OS query. We just did a video on that. It could be used by Windows events logs, syslog, a bunch of different things. And it lists things like a user accessing a certain file that they shouldn't, for example, or a user attempting to authenticate and they fail multiple times or something. A process execution activity, process adding, editing, deleting a registry key or a value, PowerShell execution. A lot of these things are host-centric and they have to do with an individual operating system. The network-centric stuff is things trying to connect between the network through different protocols and anomalies that may show up, or specific activities, behavioral patterns that just are not good to see, and you're like, oh, what's going on here, right? So when hosts communicate with each other via the internet or just directly, and they elicit some kind of network-based protocol, SSH, VPN, HTTP or PPS, FTP, so many different things, so many protocols that exist, right? So an SSH connection could be a red flag, and a file being accessed via FTP, file transfer protocol, web traffic, user accessing a company's resources through VPN, network file sharing activity, all of these things could potentially be events that we want to look at. So the importance of a SIEM is that it combines all of that, and it does all of that in one place. This is very, very, very crucial. So if you've gone through all of the individual rooms that we've done, and you looked at all of the individual tools that we've used, you would really understand the magnificence and the power of a SIEM, because and this image is pretty iconic. Like it's a great way to describe what it does. So you collect the data from a bunch of different sources, you aggregate data, and then you discover and detect threats, and then you identify breaches and investigate the alerts. And all of this is done in one location. So the analyst doesn't have to go back and forth to a million different things. They could just be in one place, and then they can manage everything from that one place. This happens real time. It alerts against abnormal activities or anomalies. There's 24/7 monitoring, protection against the latest threats through early detection, data insights and visualization, ability to investigate past incidents, and then you can combine all of this through an API and connect it to other automation and auto remediation services, which turns into a SOAR. So a SOAR is kind of like the next step of a SIEM, and it uses automation to auto remediate a lot of things. And we'll probably talk about that at some point as well. So is registry related activity host centric or network centric? And I'm going to say host centric, because it is a part of the host, the registry. And a VPN, a virtual private network, as the name implies, is network centric. And we got that. So just like that, we have been able to complete our network visibility. So let's talk about log sources and log ingestion. Log sources and ingestion. So every device in a network generates some kind of log, whatever the activity is performed and whenever it is, like somebody visiting a website, connecting to SSH, a bunch of stuff, right? So Windows machine looks at all of these things inside something called the event viewer, but then you can also do a lot of commands through PowerShell or the command line using get win event or things of a similar nature. And this is the Windows version of a SIEM, I would say, but it doesn't do all the things that a SIEM does. It's the graphical user version of running through all of these logs. You see all of these things on the left side right here? These are all different programs and operations inside a Windows machine that create logs and events, right? Then in a Linux workstation, it is not as user-friendly because there's no visual interface like that. So you'll have logs being done inside different folders and directories. So you have the log for HTTP, for cron, for authentication, security, and kernel, stuff like that. And this is what it will look like on a Linux version, right? So it's time-stamped and it shows you details on it, but it's not as user-friendly. It's just line after line after line of items and notifications. And then you have the web server example, and this is an Apache log, which is very similar to the Linux logs. It's line by line, but it deals with IP addresses and protocols and stuff like that. So it shows you this person, this particular case, there was a get request made on this place and there was a success. And in this particular case, there was another get request and there was success. And so that's kind of what that looks like. Log ingestion is when you take a bunch of logs and you put it inside the SIEM, and the SIEM ingests all of those logs for you. So you have the agent or the endpoint that ends up forwarding the information So these solutions provide a lightweight tool called Agent. It's called a forwarder by Splunk, and then we just did the Wazoo room that was actually called an agent. But it's basically, it acts the same way. It forwards the information to the server that is ingesting all of those files, and it gets installed, the agent gets installed in the endpoint individually, and then it captures all the logs and sends it to the SIEM server. And then you have the syslog. It's a widely used protocol to collect data from various systems like web servers, so on and so forth, and all of that can be sent, and then you can do manual upload that some SIEM solutions allow you to upload log files manually, and then you can of course forward ports to the SIEM so that it can listen on a certain port and start logging activity that way. And so an example of how Splunk provides various methods is this. You can upload, you can monitor, you can forward from a port, and just like that, you can have your log information in here. So in which location in a Linux environment are HTTP logs stored? And that is this wonderful thing right here called the verilog HTTPD. And then we can go and place that here. Why use a SIEM? It's used to provide correlation on the collected data and detect threats. Once a threat is detected, or something, a certain threshold or anything is crossed, an alert pops up. And this enables the analyst to take actions that's necessary to investigate further or stop what's happening from happening. And it plays a very important role in cybersecurity and helps detect and protect against the latest threats in a timely manner. So it's very important. I hope you understand this. Like, if you've done any kind of log analysis and if you've spent any time in the security world, you can understand and appreciate the power of a SIEM and the role that it plays. So it's a major component of the SOC Center, so the Security Operations Center. And it starts by collecting logs and examining everything. We've already kind of gone through all that. And then what it can do is correlate between events from different log sources, because sometimes it's not just one log source or one network instrument that we need to kind of analyze to see if something bad is happening. It could be across multiple logs, across multiple instruments or devices inside the network, and it could be across different timelines and certain things that a human being will miss, right? That's kind of the idea here. And it provides visibility on the host-centric and network-centric activities. That allows analysts to investigate and respond timely, hunt for threats that are not detected by the rules that are in the place, because it can pull from rules from a bunch of different sources, from common vulnerabilities, from MITRE, all of these different places, right? So this is the Security Operations Center as an example. And then there's a lot of stuff that's going on here. And it's kind of a rotating, spinning wheel, as we can say. Reporting, ticketing, log collection, knowledge base, research development, aggregation, threat intelligence, and the security information and event management. And they all go hand in hand. So the SIEM creates reports, which ends up being turned into a ticket, collects a log, and then it gets added to the knowledge base of the SOC Center. It goes into research and development, aggregation and collection, threat intelligence, and then again, and all of these things can also be done inside the SIEM. Like, all of this can be done inside the SIEM. It can create reports and tickets, collect logs, establish a knowledge base, research and development, aggregate, threat intelligence. All of this is done inside the SIEM. And the more you have it running on your network, the more of a baseline that it'll establish, the more of a knowledge base it establishes, and so on and so forth. So it just becomes more and more powerful the more it's running. And I mean, you gotta appreciate that. You gotta love that. So what happens now for the SOC analyst after the SIEM does all of those things is that you just monitor and investigate, identify false positives. So just in case a red flag goes up, it's like, oh, that's okay, that's not bad. Tuning rules which are caused using noise or false positives to fine tune it and make it even better at detecting bad things. Reporting and compliance, identifying blind spots, so on and so forth. So when the SIEM or the software ends up doing so much of the work, the analyst can actually sit there and focus on, oh, okay, this is what we should actually do, this is what we should detect, so on and so forth. So it makes the job of a security analyst much easier, and you gotta love that. You gotta appreciate that. So let's jump into analyzing logs and alerts. So once we have our logs, we can look at the dashboard of a SIEM essentially, and it'll show you a lot of things just on the dashboard. And then from there, you can further investigate if you need to, right? So this is some of the stuff that shows up on a standard dashboard. And this is QRadar's dashboard that we see below. And you have alert highlights, system notification, health alert, list of failed login attempts, events ingested, rules triggered, top domains visited, and all of this stuff is literally right here. So you can see everything on one section, and the most important stuff ends up being on the section. And of course, you can modify your dashboard to show you the individual categories that are most relevant to you. And now you have correlation rules, which are an important role in timely detection of threats, allowing analysts to take action on time. So correlation rules are pretty much logical expressions that are said to be triggered, and a few examples are this. So if a user gets 5 failed login attempts in 10 seconds, raise this alert. If a login is successful after multiple failed login attempts, raise this alert. A rule is set to alert every time a user plugs in a USB if USB is restricted as the company policy. If outbound traffic is bigger than 25 megabytes, raise an alert just to potential data exfiltration, or if consumption of a system is higher than a certain capacity. It could be somebody's using your system to mine something. Crypto mining is actually a really big deal apparently, and people will hack into big systems that are fully capable to mine crypto. It's pretty awesome when you think about it. It's awesome on both ends. It's like on the idea of the hacker where it's like, dude, that's kind of genius. If you don't have the capabilities on your computer, you just hack into a really powerful computer and use that computer to mine crypto. Like, that's so great. So use case number 1, adversaries tend to remove logs during post-exploitation phase to remove their tracks. A unique event ID is 104 every time a user tries to remove or clear event logs. To create a rule based on this activity, we can set the following condition. And so if the log source is win-event log and the event ID is 104, trigger an alert that the log has been cleared. Case number 2 is adversaries use commands like who am I to escalate privileges, or after they've done escalation, just to see who they are. If they want to see if they're root, they'll be like, oh, okay, I'm root now, right? The following fields will be helpful to include the rule. So log source would be wherever is capturing the log, the event ID associated with process execution, in this case 4688, and then the process name, which process name will be helpful to include in the rule. So if the log is win event log and the event code is 4688 and new process name contains who am I, then trigger an alert that says who am I command execution detected, right? So that's kind of a gist of what you can do, but obviously you can do so much more. So in the previous task, the importance of field value pairs was discussed. Correlation rules keep an eye on the values of certain fields getting triggered, and that's the reason why it's important to have normalized logs ingested. So alert investigation. When monitoring a SIEM, we spend most of our time on dashboards as it shows various key details about the framework in a summary. Once an alert is triggered, the event flow associated with that alert is examined, and the rule is checked to see which conditions are met based on the investigation. If we examine that it's a true or false positive, some of those actions can be performed. So alert is a false alarm, alert is a true positive, contact the asset owner to inquire about the activity, suspicious activity is confirmed, isolate, and block the suspicious IP. This is just a basic flow of activities. If it's a false alarm, we just tune it so that it doesn't register those false alarms anymore. If it's a true positive, we investigate. We contact the asset owner, so whoever the user of that computer is or manager of the server. Suspicious activity is actually confirmed. You isolate the infected host, meaning remove it from the network, unplug all internet cables or turn off Wi-Fi, whatever it is, remove it and isolate it, and then block the suspicious IP that was attacking you. Question here is which event ID is generated when a log is removed, and that is 104. And then what type of alert may require tuning, and that would be a false alarm. And just like that, we are done. And now we can jump into the lab work, which should be pretty exciting. All right, so we click our little view site and this thing pops up and we're looking at a SIEM dashboard as it seems. And so we're just gonna kind of run through these questions just to see what we can find. So the first one is click on the start suspicious activity. Which process caused the alert? This process is well-known mining software, Kudo Miner. So I mean, it's already here. So kudominer.com might just be the answer. I'm gonna copy that and paste that over here and see if that's the actual answer. Okay, it's not the answer. I was about to say, like, what? Oh, we're probably looking for an executable. Okay, fair enough. So we're gonna look for Kudo Miner. And so let's see what we can find here. We're gonna start the activity and it's gonna show some things. Start suspicious activity and Kudo Miner. There you go, it pops up. Potential crypto miner activity observed. Find and click on the triggered event to show the details. So first, it's kudominer.exe. That's what the actual answer is, kudominer.exe. And it's funny because we were just talking about mining, right? Isn't that interesting how everything just plays together? So kudominer, so now find the event, and this is the event, so let's click on it. And so look through the event log to find the event that triggered the alert. So we're gonna, this is our full event log. So we have process creation is everything, event ID is everything, info, process ID, Windows event logs, audit success, event log, hostname admin. So this is where we start to see some changes. The usernames are all changed. And then now we have some interesting stuff. So Python executable has been running, Java WS, Microsoft Edge, QuickTime, and QW. That's, oh, Kudo Miner right here. So this is the one on Chris's machine. So Chris Fort, being the username, had Kudo Miner running. So, okay, click on the button below to show the rule that triggered the event. So find the event that caused the alert. What was responsible for the process execution? Which user was responsible? And that is Chris Fort. So Chris.Fort, whoops, okay. I misspelled his name and it still gave me a right answer. So what is the host name of the suspected user? So the host name, did we already get past that part? I feel like we did. Okay, fine. So the rule that alerted us was potential crypto miner if the event ID is 4688 and the log source is event log and process name has miner in it in some capacity or crypt in it in some capacity, alert us. And so that was it. So now how would you like to action this rule? I'm going to say that this is a true positive because that's a big deal. And so this is our flag for this exercise, which is going to go at the very end here, but we're still missing some information. So we got to go find the intro. So is there a way that I can restart this thing? Because I need some information. Okay, here we go. Start activity. And then we're going to start the traffic one more time. And then there's going to be Kudo Miner. We're going to click on that damn thing. And voila. And we're going to go down here. Okay, I'll find the event. Give me a second. So it's Chris Fort. And who do we want? We need the host name of the suspected user. So we're going to go to the category that says host name. And it's HR_02. So that is the host name. And there's that. And examine the rule and the suspicious process. Which term matched the rule that caused the alert? Both of the things, I think, caused it, right? So it was either crypt or miner, because the name of it is Kudo Miner. Actually, no, miner is what caused it. So we're going to be miner. And then the best option that represents the event, choose from the following. It's going to be a true positive. And that is our final answer. And we got our flag. So lovely, lovely, lovely job. Moving on. In conclusion, we have covered what a SIEM is, what it does, and the visibility that it provides. We can learn much more in the following rooms, which is the and challenges. So we have the Junior SOC Analyst, Splunk 101 and 201, which is a part of the path that we're on right now, I think. Probably not, actually. I think it goes even further than that. So Splunk 101, 201, there's benign, which is definitely on this path, is at the bottom right here. Investigating with Splunk, that we saw right here. And then we have investigating with elk, which is not, oh, it is right here. Investigating with elk is the very next thing. And then itsy bitsy, which is also in this path. So most of these things are in the current module that we're on right now. So that's going to be exciting to do. And just like that, we have wrapped this room. So very, very exciting. I really, I was waiting to get to this part because, I went through all the introductory stuff and I'm like, I really want to just get to the meat and bones of this thing, or the meat and potatoes, or whatever it's called. So I'm excited. I'm excited that we finally made it and we just wrapped the introduction to SIEM. If you found any value in this video, if you learned anything from this video, please go ahead and like, subscribe, share, comment, turn on the notification bell, all that good stuff. When you do that, two things happen. Number one, the YouTube algorithm finds our channel and gives us more reach so that we can grow the community and help more people on their journey to become a cybersecurity analyst or an ethical hacker. But then the more important thing is that when you subscribe and turn on that notification bell, you get notified the next time that a video comes out. And if you're starting to become a security analyst or an ethical hacker, then you actually can use a lot of these videos, if not all of these videos, because this is directly related to the task at hand to become a security analyst and an ethical hacker. So it would mean the world to me if you would like, subscribe, and do all that stuff, but I think it's also very useful for you if you did do that. So it would be a great win-win, in my opinion. That's all I'm trying to say. This is your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker, and we just wrapped the introduction to SIEM. Peace, love, and chicken grease. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you, and I will see you in the next room. Later.